This is Memorial Day weekend. Its very name, memorial, tells us that, in fact, we should not forget, but remember. In this case, we remember all those who died in the various wars to make us free. To remember, reconnect, because as the early Christians reminded us, forgetfulness is the great sin. All sin, they held, stems from forgetting that we are connected to God, to God's creation, and to one another. If we forget our national and spiritual heroes and heroines, the ones who gave us visions to live by and principles to guide us, who gave their lives to furthering human dignity and freedom, if we forget that, then we passively allow them to lose meaning. If we forget our holy days and allow them to become holidays, then holidays, of course, become days for, what else? Special sales. So Memorial Day is not really for remembering, reconnecting with those fallen in the wars on our behalf. That's the farthest things from people's minds. No, it's a time to kick off our summer weekends. People do terrible things when they forget who they are. That's why, to keep their children in line, parents used to say, remember who you are. Meaning, no matter what all the other kids do, remember who you are. You're not just anybody, a face in a crowd. You're our son, you're our daughter, and you must act accordingly. God says the same thing. You are my beloved, and you must act accordingly. There is one captivating scene in the movie Moonstruck. In this movie, Olympia Dukakis plays Rose Caterini, the matriarch of an Italian-American family in Brooklyn. In one scene, she is the victim of a clumsy attempt at seduction by a professor who has walked her home from a nearby restaurant. "Can I come inside?" he says slyly. "No," she responds. "Why not?" he continues. Her response is, "Because I'm a married woman, because I know who I am." Remember the turning point for the wayward son in the prodigal son parable? It was when he remembered. He remembered his father's house, his full plate, his home. Here he was, a nameless, faceless nobody swilling the pigs, until he remembered he was more than that. He remembered he had a name. He had a home. He had a father who loved him. When he remembered who he was and whose child he was, he repented and he remembered, reconnected with the source of his dignity. On this Memorial Day weekend, we should renew our memories of who we are and teach our children who they are, not self-sufficient beings, not solitary atoms, but part of a vast parade of sunbursts and volcanoes, exploding stars and nature and people and God. They are interconnected, co-joined, children of the same God of us all, responsible stewards of creation, their brothers and sisters keepers, here, in this time and place in history, to make the presence of God more apparent. Forgetfulness is truly a moral disaster. Remembering is salvation. Happy Memorial Day.